Welcome back to the final edition of Season 7, Love is Kimes, recapping the reunion with David Dennis Jr. David, cheers to hating every single person on the show.
Cheers to an unending hour of just heel turns and annoyance. I am wearing, of course, my sorry for texting a side chick turtleneck. Um,
Honestly, one of the better outfits at the reunion.
it was madness. Nick was the only person who was dressed like a human. Can we get to that? Like Nick was dressed like Nick was dressed like he was going to just a regular job interview, just like stop by. He was stopping by Target on his way from his desk job and like was just hanging out. Ashley had spiders on her shoulder. Like she's not beating the allegations of the Sheen allegations. Like she's just not beating them.
I was gonna say maybe it's a metaphor for her being caught in Tyler's web of lies. Oh my god. Um, yeah, so much happened. We're gonna recap everyone. We are going to address I got some of your tweets. We're gonna
Mm,
answer questions, do a final I have to say, the power ranking from the end of the season will change
yeah.
because some people rose, some people fell, a lot of people fell. Unfortunately, power ranking, someone has to finish on
So
top,
right,
and
yeah.
very few people like
Every almost everybody came out worse. I think I like almost everybody a little bit less than I did when the show started. To be honest.
there's only one man who I feel like came out definitively better.
Uh-huh.
Leo.
Yeah, yeah. Leo seemed to have the thing about this show is it's clear that like who has like prepped, who's
Yes.
rehearsed. We all know that we've seen this multiple seasons in a row. The women come prepared to group chat. They know what they're
So
gonna say. And the men are just like bumbling idiots. They're just like they just show up to the show. The women's group chats are ready, and like the men just like have nothing. They ain't got nothing. It seemed like at one point it seemed like Marissa queued Hannah up, like it's go time, and they just like win that dick.
since he's in the news, it was like Dwayne Wade and LeBron,
Right,
like
right.
me up to dunk on alley-oop. To be clear, I hated it. I actually came out of
Yeah.
this, I think, disliking all of except for Taylor. Ah, yeah, it was because I was saying to my husband, I feel like this has been now multiple reunions where I'm sorry, this is gonna sound like a pick me thing to say, but I'm a feminist.
uh,
However, I feel like now there have been multiple reunions where they go easier on the women than the men.
yeah,
But I don't think it's about Vanessa and Nick being picking favorites. I think it is what you're describing, which is sorting within the group.
yeah,
The women being tight together, defending each other, turning the tables, and then Nick and Vanessa are just kind of following them all along.
yeah. The men like do not have like they're just going. They're deeply enthralled in Hornets Wizards playoff game or like regular season games. They're like going fishing. They're just hanging out, having a good old time. And the women are like, "Here's a receipt. Here's a receipt. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit it with this. When they say this, blah 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 blah." Because there's a point, and I know we're gonna talk to it later, where the men should have been prepared for some that the women said, and they were taken. Everybody was taken totally off guard, and it fell apart.
So they begin the reunion with the married couples, the happy
Mhm.
couples, who are, as we suspected, still married.
Yes.
Taylor and Garrett get a little bit of time at the beginning, a little bit of time at the end.
Mhm.
We can just let's save that for the end because
Yeah.
it's the only interesting thing about them is that Garrett looked like a magician on a cruise ship, and Taylor who has been like a fashion star this
Yeah.
season, decided to channel C3PO for the reunion.
It like she was going to the Met Gala. I don't understand. I don't understand what was going on.
I guess I wouldn't get it. I don't know, but they're fine. They came out fine.
Yeah.
They immediately are like, "You're still your best catch." She says yes. Nick does a million boring Taylor Swift puns. Tyler and Ashley, we got to take some time to break down because
Yeah.
this is what everybody was waiting for, and I don't think everyone's going to be happy because didn't get a complete picture. However, some interesting things were revealed.
Yeah.
A little bit of breaking of the fourth
A
wall.
little behind the curtain action in a way that they do not seem to let the cast members talk about
Yes.
going into on these reunions. They seem to like have finagled some sort of way to talk about this.
So they go back. They're married. They're happy.
Mm.
She's standing by her man very aggressively. She also was, I think, like she wanted, I feel like she has very obviously seen that the internet is kind of portraying her as like this clueless
Right.
victim, and she clearly wanted to establish that she's, you know, a strong woman and she's, you know, very in on the, she knows what's going on and all that.
Yeah, I'm not clueless. I'm just complicit. That's a good call.
Okay, so they asked about the donation, and so he is telling the story, and I wanted to make sure I got this all right.
Mhm.
He says he, as described on the show, helped his friend who was in a relationship. He says her wife left her, so he stepped in, played
Mhm.
more of a dad role, and then, quote, played a part that became shaky,
Mhm.
which I think is a very, very TLDR version of everything that's been discussed on the
Yeah.
internet. The whatever the falling out is between him and the mother of his children,
Mhm.
it became shaky.
Mhm.
Then he says, Ashley knows all of this. She's nodding, doesn't know anyone explanation, but his wife, proof positive that he's not a bad dude, is his wife is still with him.
Yeah.
So where are you now before we get to the interesting part about what was said on camera?
I was like, I was prepping it for the Ashley Hills. I just felt the my man coming out of Ashley's pores, the pick meism out of her pores, all that stuff. I just felt like she was going to be there at the reunion. This is my man. We're going to stand by it. I was a little surprised at how little information we got. Like I was little,
Yeah.
I was just surprised by that, but I was not. As we were getting closer to it, I just knew that Ashley was like, I knew she'd be right there with this dude. Unfortunately,
The information that we got, I want to kind of address
yeah,
that
yeah,
because I think if there's one part of this whole reunion where I imagine, I haven't seen like the internet discussion, I imagine people are unhappy with the hosts, it would probably be how they handled
yeah,
this
yeah.
part. So then they do address the biggest controversy of all,
Mhm.
which is the moment on camera where he says, she asks him, "Do they know what you look like?" And he says, "I don't think so.
Yeah,
You and I discussed this moment. We both agreed it was weird
yeah.
and wondered if it was edited." So I found this fascinating. They reveal that they had, as we suspected, multiple conversations off camera that were
Hmm.
not shown, and then decided to have one conversation on camera where he lied, and
Yeah,
they acknowledge that he
yeah,
lied in that moment. Tyler, like, basically was like, "Yeah, I lied and it was awkward."
yeah.
What did you think of this? Because this was I found this fascinating.
So first, this backs up the couch theory that all these important
Yes,
couch conversations were
yes.
redone,
Great call by
scripted
you.
conversations. The other thing here that's weird is that like so Ashley framed it as like he told her and she said we need to have some of this for camera so it could be authentic. So, but why do you need to include this part on camera where he's lying? Right? If you say like he told you everything ahead of time, we're gonna have like we're gonna recreate a conversation just so the people can know about it,
Yeah.
and then but why frame it as why did you lie to me? And or why did you keep this from me? And then like I imagine that if you're like essentially scripting a conversation, and she asks him the question and he kind of lies and says no I don't know and it's awkward. I feel like maybe this is too much. I feel like you could just say wait cut, can we redo that question, like this, like you're scripting a question, like I don't know why that unnecessary drama part of it is put in if according to Ashley you had agreed to just recreate a conversation for cameras over something you already knew.
I suspect that the recreation didn't happen that long after the actual revelation
Yeah.
and discussion or whatever, so I feel like it was still hot. Like, she was still
So
emotional
so
in that moment.
we are of the belief that we do believe that he actually did keep that from her until after
In
the
the
pods.
pods, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because why wouldn't they show it,
Right. And
right?
so why wouldn't he like we still have not got anything where Ashley says you kept this from me for you know what I'm saying? They never answer that question.
The only reason why she wouldn't be upset that he kept it from her in the pods to the point where, like, if he had a reason, right, some kind of, like,
Yeah.
as we discussed, maybe, like, there was a legal thing, or maybe he was saying, "I don't wanna mention the children on camera," or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm guessing he had a story about that. I feel like I wouldn't say what's not, first of all, we don't, as we discussed in the last episode, the mother of his child has basically accused him of abandoning the kids.
Yeah.
This is not brought up at all
At
at the
all.
reunion. That's I understand if there's, again, maybe legal reasons or
Yeah.
whatnot. I understand why Nick and Vanessa might not get into the actual specific allegations. However, a very obvious question, especially after he acknowledged lying, and especially given that like everybody knows what's out the internet, it would simply be, what is your relationship
Yeah.
with these children? And it is never asked. And that
Or
to me was like the biggest
Or
problem.
before we get there, "Hey, dude, how many kids do you have?" Because they do, like, a weird, like, discussion of the kids. He says, "I was a sperm donor to like, for
Yeah.
her for a kid, and I raised this kid." And then he skips and says, "My kid," like, the kids, plural, birth certificates, plural, are online. And so how do we get from 1 to multiple kids? Now, we know online, like, people on social media and all that stuff know what the story is about how that happened, but so many people do not. And you jump from, like, just, I think it's a beginning question is just, Joe, Tyler, how many kids you got with this lady? Like, that's not a thing.
Right.
Like, that's not like too much of a personal question to ask, even before we get to the thing about the relationship with the kids.
Or a little follow up about the actual, because maybe you don't want to talk about the kids. Maybe
Yeah.
there's been some sort of agreement. You say it became shaky. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
That's
Right.
quite
Yeah.
a euphemism.
Yeah.
It's is So ultimately, none of the internet's questions are really answered. I think the only thing that is resolved is that moment where he appears to be a totally pathological
Right.
sociopathic liar. I I believe them. I think it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It makes sense. The only thing we don't know is whether or not the mother of his children is telling the truth, frankly, and we don't know what shaky means. We don't know his side of the story. He doesn't actually give it, to be honest. We don't
Yeah.
know if she is correct in saying that he's abandoned. We don't know any of that because
Has
it's not
she
brought up.
seen the kids at all in the last year? Like, well, like, we don't know any of this stuff. Like, what is her like? She's like a stepmom to these kids,
Yeah,
like that, like right now. Like, what is your relationship with them, or what's
it's
going on? Like,
yeah.
and then we come back. They have this whole montage of what they've been doing the past year, and he's got pajamas, the same pajamas he looked like he had with them kids, like on the Christmas past, and all this stuff. And they're hanging out, spending the year together. Like, have you had kids? What are y'all doing for Christmas next year? Well, last year we did it with her family, and he says this year we're going to be between Pittsburgh and Maryland. He doesn't say we're going to be with my family this year. He says we're going to be
I got that too. Yeah,
like,
I think
they're just so calculated in the way they're talking. It just feels like they're both, like, just not being good people right now.
there were two main allegations against Tyler. One is that he lied to Ashley and kept her in the
Mm,
dark. The other is that he betrayed his family in some way, abandoned them, whatever. The first one's resolved. He didn't lie
right.
to her. I think
Yeah.
she knew everything. I don't think maybe in the pods he didn't tell her, and maybe she bought his explanation, but I don't believe there was any. I don't. I that part's out the window. She's now part of this unit, as they say,
Yeah.
right? When you're a marriage, you're in a unit. Or that was Taylor and Garrett said that. The other part is a total question mark. We have no idea. They benefit from two things in terms of getting the kind of handled softly, shall we say, at their reunion. One of the few happy couples that
Mhm.
they're very invested in not vilifying them, and they're part of the cool kids club, man. They had everybody had their back. I don't know if you know this style. When they're
Yeah.
telling their story, everyone's like, "You tell them, Tom," you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
So that goes a long way in these reunions. Is who are you friends with?
Who are you friends with? And I'm not that can work in the reunion stage. I have to bestow. We get one of these every year. I think AD was this for a little bit. Ashley comes out of here looking like, it's unfortunate I hate to say it. She comes out here looking like Boo Boo the Fool, and that's just what people gonna call her. People just gonna call Ashley. Ashley just gonna be looking like Boo Boo the Fool every time that from now on, because like that's exactly who she is. Like, standing by this dude who's clearly done something that's not great, and my man, like, and then when something, you know, dudes don't do this and just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have like very real concerns about their marriage, and she's gonna be looking silly at the end of it. Sorry.
Speaking of AD,
Hmm.
this is there's a few moments in between the stuff we actually care about where they cut to interviews with old Love's Blind members. They actually tricked us by making it seem interesting because they made it. Did you think when they were she was teasing a reveal of a relationship that it was gonna be with someone either on the they kept
Yeah,
it
I
hidden,
thought we
and I was like,
yeah. They kept showing they kept having people like, "Are you seeing somebody?" And they were like, "Well, yeah, I am." They're not here right now. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't care then. Like, what's the point?
"Great." Vanessa was also, like, talking to her the entire time. It was
Yeah.
odd. I don't know. She looks great. Good for her. I don't care. Um, okay, next up, we have Marissa and Ramses, who I couldn't decide if he looked more like an employee of the Halloween celebration at Disney that they have every year, or the lead singer of a punk band who never learned how to play an instrument. What would you say?
I would say absolutely the latter. He absolutely looked like he was like somebody who was filling in for the Morris Day and the Time cover band.
Well, like Jack Skellington vibes.
Right.
Yeah, so he he is one of the people who get, I would say, please put on the hot seat, right? This is
Yeah.
all about how he mistreated her. He is asked about it. Though I will say I'm not first of all, I'm definitely not team Ramses.
Yeah.
I hate the way he talks about why they didn't work out.
Everything. I hate how he talks. I hate how he talks about all the I hate people who apologize like Ramses. Like, that's the thing about it that I
Same.
hate. Because he just says,
Yeah.
like, you tell him that he did the worst possible thing humanly possible, and he's just like, "That's a fair criticism, you know? I will
I hate that shit.
receive what you said and just, be a better person about it." And then just, like, stone cold like, I could not argue with somebody like that. I felt like I would jump across the couch and try to fight him.
So he said his reason for why they ended things. It's a lot of what we discussed and
Yeah.
expected, which is basically he attributes it to a discrepancy in their energies,
Mm.
and he says if he had stayed with her, he would have been exhausted and overwhelmed. And
Ugh.
I'm just like this guy. Sorry. Um, Listen, they're not compatible.
They're
We
not.
felt that for the entire time. It's okay
Mhm.
to not be compatible. But much like he did with the contraception conversation, which they talk about, it comes across as an indictment of
Yeah.
her, or he comes across as being like, well, I mean, you're just leaving me exhausted. Instead of
Yeah.
just there's like there's a lack of honesty, I think, with
Yeah.
him. And that's what's the problem here. Because of all the guys here, he actually like didn't do anything
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
But just the way he talks is really frustrating to me.
And even though he didn't do anything, like, she was, I would say, the most devastated person,
Yeah.
like, out of the whole season, right? She, like, really was into this thing. This was not TV for her. She thought she'd found this dude who represented, like, a lot for I think he really represented, like, this new stage of her life, right? Where she was, like, with this dude who was, like, more liberal, who was, like, more of a hippie and not, like, a military person, like, this sort of new thing. And he like like he just couldn't stand on business. He couldn't tell her like I don't like he just kept on making like
You're not,
even
yeah.
the stuff he said like I was worried about how I treated my ex and how hurt she was like in the breakup. Like what does that even have to do? That never came up again. Like what does that have to do with anything?
You don't wanna be with a bubbly former military
Yeah.
girl. You
Yeah.
wanna be with some girl who went to Oberlin and runs the local DSA chapter, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
fine. Just own it. It's the lack of ownership that
Yeah.
drives me crazy. Everybody obviously takes her side. Nick, tells her that she's beautiful and her energy will be great for somebody. They did revisit the sex conversation, and I actually think so. I read and she gave an interview where she says Ramses got a bad edit there
Mm,
because it comes across like they're only talking about things that she can do, and she said, and he alludes to this in their actual conversation. They talked about vasectomies. They talked about options for
mm.
him as well. On a scale of 1 through 10, how proud was Vanessa of herself with her wrap it up joke?
Oh, because she went back to it. she went back to it right immediately on the next topic. She was like very happy to do this, and it was like we're gonna kill him with this one.
They every time either of them gets a joke off, they just can't be cool
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
They just can't be like people laugh. They just got to eat it up. They need it. They need it. They need that energy.
Charlie points out that they went back to it at the end of the show as well.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, we've seen Marissa's mom. She actually does not bring the same juice she
I
did
know.
during.
What are you doing? I was waiting for her. Like she didn't give us anything. She was talking about her daughter's feelings and how
Nah,
she had to
I
help.
would
I
have
don't care
wanted
about that. I want you
I
talking
wanted a
about,
threat.
yeah, I want you talking about cutting this man's genitalia off and feeding it to your dog. Like, come on, that's what we came here. I want a Stone Cold Steve Austin level promo from Marissa's mom, and I got nothing. I don't want your compassion. That's not what we signed up for.
Another boring interlude. This one's Zach and Bliss, who there's a they cut back to their time in the pods. It's a tough montage for current day Zach. um, they have a baby. I wish they had revealed the baby's name was Galileo and then that the baby was a girl, so I could
Yeah.
have gasped. I live in LA.
Uh-huh.
I hear some dumb baby names.
Uh-huh.
That has to be though.
Well, because he said, because also he said, because I want her to capture the energy of the person, and I'm like, how the hell do you know Galileo's energy? Like, I don't understand. Like, what is it?
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Good for them. They seem lovely and they're
My
happy.
favorite, my favorite underrated moment from Zach was when they're on a boat that season, and she's like something about Oprah, and he goes, Winfrey. What?
It was that and not the painting of the owl in the sword. What a fucking weirdo.
Oh.
They're nice. They're nice people. I'm happy for them. Okay. On to what I feel. It's funny because the way this is structured, the climax of this
Mm,
is Tim and Alex, which is we'll get to that.
yeah.
I thought the truly substantive battle, the biggest conflict, the one that's the meatiest and merits the most discussion is Nick and Hannah.
Mhm.
And I cannot wait to talk to you about this because it made me so mad watching it. In this is cuts back to what I was saying at the top about the show being too easy on some of these women. Cause oh boy. Okay. And I predicted this. I
Yeah.
predicted it.
Yeah.
I to a T. I said she gonna the only thing I didn't predict was I thought she would actually like cry and pretend to appear repentant.
Yeah.
Ooh, she did not.
She did
So
not.
they revisit their relationship, basically, bring up the fact that Hannah treated him like crap.
Mhm.
She doesn't regret anything. She just keeps saying, I'm very direct. I'm very direct. There are some very funny Jim Halpert moments where they cut to a guy like Garrett Tyler and people in the audience just be like, every
Right.
time she says it, she finally sort of fake apologizes for being
Mhm.
cruel to him.
I did. She said, "I don't regret anything I said. I just regret how I said it." Which,
Yeah,
whoa, buddy, that's like that's the worst apology
worst.
you could ever get.
So, okay, then it takes a turn. This is insane. So Nick says, hey, she's getting too much hate. So he's
Mm.
trying to be
Yeah, he's
nice.
trying to. Yeah, yeah,
And then suddenly it's like the plan we discussed kicks
yeah.
in. So she says, interesting you say that because you've been liking the negative comments about me. And he's like,
Mm.
Here's the thing. Nick's too dumb to handle any of this, what's
Yeah,
about to happen.
yeah.
Sorry.
Again, this is the moment. This is the moment I was alluding to. The
Yeah.
men just fell apart. They had no game. Hannah came with a game plan. The men had nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody had anything.
So, yeah, no game plan whatsoever. So she says after they broke up, she found a notebook
Mhm.
that he lists his goals. Sell 2 homes. I feel like she included that to be cruel, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah.
Wants to be in the best shape of his life, and he wants to be the most famous person on Love Is Blind.
Mhm.
He does not deny that this notebook exists. He says that he wrote it 90 days before the show. Again, he has no, like,
Yeah,
preparation.
that's
You know
yeah,
she's gonna bring I'm like, "Bro, you no
yeah.
preparation for this. You know she's gonna bring it up. Say it was a joke. Say a friend just challenged you to write goofy stuff, whatever." He babbles. So then she just starts launching into attacks, and
She was ready. She had him locked and loaded.
she was like, Kevin in Home Alone, like, built an elaborate system of
Mhm.
traps, and he just kept for the wet bandits, and he just kept walking into them.
Yeah.
So, let's see. She straight up starts talking about how he made fun of her looks. He said wanted the dudes to rank her. She there's a weird one where she says girls are DMing sending her the DMs they send to
Yeah, and
him.
he's like,
There's all
"I'm
kinds of, like
single." He's like, "I'm single." Like, what are you
this
talking
cat
about?
he's so unprepared and
Yeah,
bewildered for this onslaught of attacks as she is getting hyped up by Marissa, who is now her other best friend.
yeah.
she says that he told the guys that she looked like a grenade. David, are you familiar with this term?
I was ready for the grenade. I knew what grenade was when they said it. And I was like, oh, that's a throwback. That's a good. But
Throwback.
that's a very Nick. That's a very Nick thing. When they said grenade, I was like, he said it. He absolutely said
So
that.
specific.
No, I was like, it's such a very Nick. That's absolutely something he would say.
So specific reference to those who aren't, as Dave and I have doctorates in reality TV show history. It's a reference to a Jersey Shore term for an unattractive woman.
Because I think you bring a group of girls home and somebody's got to jump on the grenade, as in, I think that's where it comes from, right? Is that the
I missed that show. Yeah,
is that the etymology of grenade?
absolutely, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. It's a really underrated
Yeah,
term. So, she's mom. So Nick's kind of denying it weekly,
yeah,
and Marissa's like, "You said it. You said it." Marissa is, and then Marissa is like the definition of doing too much.
yeah,
Is my feeling in this because she was like, "Hannah's my best friend. She's a to me sometimes, but da da da." And I'm like, "Okay, why are you friends with this horrible woman?"
yeah.
Like,
Why? Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get why Marissa. I get. She kind of explained. She was like, "I came here for real love, and you came to be like." But then she was like, "I was friends with both of you guys," and her talked about how her and Nick dated long into the pods and all that stuff, which was like we didn't really see that. And it was Marissa was kind of like because
just
at the end of the Marissa and Ramses thing, I was like, oh, Marissa, still you have my heart. I want you to be. But then I was
yes,
like,
she was
man, you kind of
rising above and
yeah
then dragged herself into this is what mean girls do.
yeah
They get other girls to back them up and then use their reign of terror.
yeah
I'm sorry, like
yeah
that's what and I want to be clear. I think Nick said all this. I think he kind of sucks.
right
I am not a Nick fan. I think he wrote that notebook. I think he thought he would be famous. I think he's kind of a D bag. But what I objected to, and so we should ask. Ultimately, Nick Lachey stops and asks Steven, "Did he say it?" It seems like he said it.
right. Oh yeah, the guys were in the interrogation room with a Whopper and a Big Mac and an 8-piece crispy from Popeyes. Like they were giving up. Steven did not. I think Steven and Ramses were like, "This is our time to like. This guy's about to look worse than we are. We're throwing him under the bus," and they just folded immediately. They folded. Garrett was the only one that was
Garrett was
like.
like, "Let's move past it."
He was the
Yeah,
only one who was kind of prepared. He was like, "This, I am above this."
Garrett's really the only guy other than Leo who, other than his absurd outfit, and we'll get to them at the end, came out of this a little bit unscathed. But anyways, so eh, then Marissa goes after Ramses. She's like, "Of course, Ramses is just sitting there
Right.
quietly,
Yeah.
you know." And ultimately, Ramses is like, "Yeah, dude, you said it." Like, okay. So I think Nick said this.
Right.
What bothered me,
Ramses didn't just say you said Ramses said we came here for apologies and to tell the truth and we're gonna do the
yeah,
real shit. Like,
accountability.
shut up.
All the girls are backing her. All the girls are like, "You didn't like what Hannah looked
Mm,
like, whatever." Here's what, and like, they're right. I
yeah.
believe all this. What I don't like about it is everything that Hannah accused him of. She did the same.
Yeah.
She was openly unhappy with how he looked. After they met, she complained about his height. She said he misrepresented himself. And
Yeah.
this idea that he came on for fame, you telling me this girl didn't come on here looking for fame as well? So I just,
Just the loud, bubbly Southern girl with a heart of gold who tells her like it is. She ain't coming here to try to get a little shine. Come on now.
it felt insanely
Who quit
hypocritical.
her job? Wait. Who quit her
Oh,
job
right, yes.
to be on the show? You quit your job to be on the show, and you mean to tell me that you came on there just looking for just wholesome love? You wanted to be famous as well.
By the way, you and I, after when we talked about their meeting, which was very awkward, we were
Right.
both like, they both don't seem attracted to each other. However, they were attracted to one thing, the alluring power of staying on Love is Blind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they stuck it out, even though they shouldn't have been together. And so the whole thing drove me crazy, even though I'm not, again, I want to emphasize, I think Nick said that all the stuff. I
Mm,
think he is not a guy who I want to hang out with at all. But I felt like she skated. And by the way, and this is where Nick and Vanessa really, I feel like, dropped the ball. She did so many things that were never brought up. This is,
yeah.
again, this was where I started getting flashbacks to Chelsea, although she
Mm,
was way worse than Chelsea.
yeah.
For example, the way she talked about sexuality, the
Mhm.
way she brought up after he explicitly told her, "Hey, I don't want you to bring this stuff up," and then she aired all that stuff
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
imagine if the roles were reversed? And
yeah,
he did that?
yeah,
Didn't come up once, David. Didn't
yeah.
come up once.
And I mean, and she even they brought it up, but she skated on saying that she didn't trust her best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like you did, like like you trashed your best friend to this
She
dude, best
sucked.
friend in the whole world, and you said you didn't trust her, and and then the friend felt so terrible that she bought you flowers, and you're just like, oh, I just don't know what I just be talking out my mouth sometimes, whatever. Like, come on,
Such a specific kind of mean girl.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just it was very upsetting. This was the only part. This actually upset me more than the Tyler Ashley stuff because I think the Tyler Ashley stuff you can probably write off as like, they didn't want to bring up the kids.
mm,
And there's no reason for them to not make Hannah accountable for
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And it there's a lot of similarities between her and Chelsea, and I just feel like there's a pattern now
yeah.
that really bothers me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's they need somebody, and this is where we got to get on Nick and Finesse. They need somebody who can like cut through the group chat. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Journalists, the heavy hitting journalists over here. They need
I
somebody who can cut through the group chat and be like, yo, I understand y'all are all friends, y'all backing her up,
Yeah.
but this is kind of BS. Like Hannah, you did the same thing this dude on camera, and like even if he did not like the way you looked and said it to his friends, probably drunk or whatever, and you said this terrible thing to your friends, he didn't berate you all up on your face on camera and make you feel like she was verbally abusive to this dude
Direct, no, just direct,
directly. Right, right. I
direct.
tell her like it is. No, you were abusive to this dude
That's it,
verbally
like,
and nonstop.
no one said that on the stage, like,
Yeah,
"Hey, man, there's a difference between being direct and being an a-hole."
yeah,
No one, not a single person defended him. I
yeah.
just really bothered me. That whole segment bothered me, and yeah, if there's one thing I really hated about the reunion, it was that. You mentioned the Katie thing, I don't even wanna talk about it, it's boring. Leo and Brittany.
uh,
So we finally see Leo.
mm,
So Leo, unlike the other men on the show, came prepared.
yeah,
That man spent a long time thinking about exactly how he was going to apologize. He was even speaking softly.
yeah, yeah,
He and I'll say this: uh, he said all the right things.
yeah,
Did you buy it? Like, what did you make of his? Because he comes out, he apologizes to Hannah for
yeah.
being abusive to her. He says he was embarrassed by how he acted on the
If I
show.
had to watch that again, the hell for me is watching that again. Like these are rehearsed, canned lines that he had prepared. I have no clue if this dude is real legit. The only thing he had was Tim by his side, glazing like unbelievable amount of glazing was going on from my man Tim over there.
So weird.
It
So
was
true.
like too much going on. Like Tim, Jesus.
So Brittany finally gets to talk,
Hmm.
and she says, I don't want to talk about Brittany's appearance. I've had a little bit to drink. Never reveal what I texted you.
Brittany, you know, showed up. She was
Oh,
there.
it's like you could throw a ping pong at her. You know what I can say? I'm thinking,
Uh,
okay, no, all right, sorry. I have such an inappropriate thought in my head that okay. Um,
we know what you text is between us. You don't think I would know what you text is between us. There are things that the cameras need to see and things that cameras don't need to see. And this is and I'm standing by Mina in the text messages. About about Brittany's you know.
well, let's just say I think she augmented her story because she says that the meeting between them, it was just so awkward. I'm sorry, being mean. She seems like a lovely person.
uh,
She was like, I wish he kissed me more because I just didn't know what to
mm, mm.
say. Bull. They went to, they didn't go to coast to Mexico, she says, because it was obvious they weren't gonna be together. That was interesting, by the way, Nick being like,
I'm calling a little bit of cap
"Same."
on that. There's no way.
The whole
Think of
thing is
all
cap.
the
It's all cap.
you can't say we didn't want them there because they weren't going to make it, and then be like, look at the crowd. Jessica, who was also from season one, who we let go to the island or wherever they went that season, because that clearly was not going to make it in season one, and she was like the
Yeah,
star of that season. There was no way that they looked at this like right
100%.
right like television and said they're not going to make it. We don't want them
Yeah,
anymore.
right. "Oh, we don't want the woman who's obviously gonna be the IG star of the show
Yeah,
and the guy who's in a love triangle. We want actually no love triangles, and we want, like, the boring a," like, no.
and
No, no,
we're gonna
no, no,
show it
no,
all
no.
for the
Yeah,
first 2 or 3 episodes, and then
right.
not show the rest. I'm
Make
not.
it the
There's
focal
no way.
point.
And
Yeah,
because Nick and they were so like, well, how did you feel when the producers told you this? How did you, like? It was almost like they
yeah,
were beating
yeah,
it
like, they
like,
didn't know.
yeah, yeah. Come on now.
I'm also not buying anything about her story about the trip. First of all, I bet they only hung out. Here's what I think happened. I
Mm,
think they went to Miami separately. She
mm.
stayed with her friend. She mentioned
She
her
said
really
she
good
got her
friend
friends
living
were there. Yeah, yeah,
there. Didn't stay together. They met up for dinner once. They took one photo, which we
yeah.
saw, and then she was like, "Yeah, never again."
Yeah, that's it. That's it. They took a
That's it.
photo, and
And
yeah, because there was a photo of just like the ring and the thing. Like, hey, I'll just put it on for
that
fun.
also was staged. No, that was staged. That
Yeah,
wasn't even taken
absolutely.
in Miami. That was afterwards because they were like, "Oh, it'd be funny if we got the Rolex in a
Yeah,
photo."
yeah. AI. That's
I got nothing else on that. It just seemed fake.
nothing else about Britney seemed fake, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Uh, Steven and Monica, who,
Mhm.
buddy? I, can I just say, Steven, he's still electric television.
Steven Steven had I don't know what Steven had the Malcolm X glasses on, and he did a full. He went. I don't know what he was doing. He went full Denzel in Training Day, where he was like, "Nobody cares about me. Y'all don't want to hear the truth about what I got going on." And I was like, "Steven, like, what is going on?"
So, he yeah, God, where did it begin? The truth, as he
Mhm.
tells it. He does get around just giving his version of the infamous sleep. First of all, the photo of him with the sleep apnea test was perfection. Monica clearly hates guts.
Mm.
He says he wrote a letter to parents. She's like, "You just wrote that so you could bring it
Oh,
up." I'm
yeah.
like, "Yeah, probably." He's a scumbag, but he's just
Because the
funny.
thing, the first thing we hear essentially from the first two things we hear from Steve was like, "Yep, Nick said that Hannah was ugly," and then the other thing he was like, "Speaking of meat, what about me?" Something like everybody was
Right.
like, it was the cringy. Everybody was like, "What in the world are you like? Where did that come from?"
Right, when it was yeah, when, Leo was like, when you're at dinner and you have to choose between steak and pasta,"
Yeah.
and, Vanessa's like, "Women don't like being compared to steak and pasta." Thanks, Vanessa. It's called an analogy, but, yeah, that was when he brought that up. Okay, so his version of the story is that a woman was texting him. She brought up a heart condition,
Mhm.
and then randomly she gets into how she's been getting into fetishes, and then
Mhm.
I entertained it. And then are just so he's very much making excuses for it.
Mhm.
And then he reveals that he has never met her in person, but
Mhm.
they've known each other for years. And
To
what
which
happened?
you Your
Now you can't
excitement.
reveal my text.
You said, "It was I told you it was an OnlyFans one." Like,
What did I say? I said, "There's no roll the tape if you want." I said, "There's no chance in hell he's actually met the woman that he's texting with." I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I know a
but
creep when I see one.
but here's the thing: the OnlyFans woman isn't gonna be like, "Hey, I got a little heartburn. Let's do some butt stuff." Like, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's. I don't know. I just think it's just some woman on Instagram. I don't know if it's an OnlyFans lady. I think it's just a lady on
You're right.
Instagram.
Steven is so honest. You're probably correct. And women on Instagram just love to randomly entertain men who post Dungeons and Dragon art with fetishes.
Who know? I have no clue. I have no clue what's going on. I have no clue what's going on with this thing.
Um,
Because also, like, he's like, I don't have my phone. I don't have a password on my phone, and it's open. He was like, I was so proud of myself for conquering the demon that I left it on my phone. Like, what? Like, what are we talking about?
There's not much with Monica. She's still mad.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I thought she came out like as good as she. They
yeah.
didn't talk about how trash she was,
Yeah,
like the whole time. She just was like,
the flowers
talk-
thing never
yeah,
came up. They never got out. Yeah, she like we predicted it. She got off unscathed,
yeah,
and it's fine. Again, as far as like all the women, like I think she benefited from the Hannah comp more than anyone in
yeah,
terms of
yeah,
like how you're because like her worst sin was being a nag. She wasn't
yeah.
actually like she never belittled Steven,
Mm.
so good for her.
Well, also they were like, I didn't. They were like, Monica, Steven told you that he cheated, and you kind of let. And I was like, nah, whatever. Like I was like that. That didn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim and Alex.
Mm.
Another thing that went exactly as we predicted. We thought it would be tedious. We thought they would be engaging and a lot of back and forth about boring details about their fights.
I was like, I went and started picking out my sorry. I texted the OnlyFans lady turtleneck during their conversation. Like that
At one
was.
point, he was like, and then I tried to tell her, I can't do the accent, about tire pressure. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I wanted to be like Anthony Richardson and take the next 10 minutes off because I was not interested in what they had to say. Um, I guess only her version of the fight in Mexico was, she needed her space, and her dad had just gone back to rehab,
Mm.
and they get a verbal. They Nick makes great pains because he's always about protecting the shield, not assault. It was not assault. Edit that out. Edit something in front of my face. It was not assault. Um, but they admit she put her hand on his
Mm.
face. I don't think like either one of them won this. I feel like they both came across incredibly poorly. Did you feel the same way?
So we've been waiting about Tyler and the kids. We've been talking about what is Steven text. I wanted to know what she called that man,
Oh,
and it did
yeah.
not disappoint
Good point.
because
Good
she
point.
said, "I called you a little because you were acting like a little." And I was like, "That's what I came here for." And he was like, don't, I'm like, "What you call me outside my name?" Like, yeah,
Yeah, right. That was interesting. Yeah, is that like a Southern thing,
call you out your name.
or just like the fact that yeah, like wouldn't say what it was, and
I don't know why he wouldn't. I don't know what that is. Like he just like I don't. I think he just never got over that. When she said it, I was like, oh, he never got it. Because I thought she was like just called him a. She called him a little. She called him a hyphen, which is like I felt like that was just something he just never
yeah,
recovered from. That relationship was doomed as soon as she did that.
yeah. They just both seem like very unpleasant people to me, to be
Yeah.
honest. Her outfit was also quite something. She did
Eyes up
out.
here, Tim. Eyes up here.
I don't know where you put your eyes with those things. Her hair looked great, her face looked great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious to see. Like, I haven't seen any of the internet discussion on this. I suspect people are kind of with us where they don't
Yeah,
like either of them.
they both
There's
kind
no
of
real
stuck.
winner
Yeah.
in that regard. So we learn afterwards that the girls are all super tight. In case
Mm.
you didn't know,
Yeah.
by the alliance that was formed, they went on a trip to a creek, and Alex got her boating
Yeah.
license. That's great. The men
Which
sometimes watch football together.
which you get anytime you ride the boat. I don't know. You take a little test. I don't know why everybody was so excited about the boating license. It's not like she's a longshoreman or something. Like she just went and did a party boat and got a little certificate. Everybody gets one of those.
So before we get back to Taylor and Garrett, they cut to a completely random stranger in the. Oh no, sorry, it was Jessica.
When did you realize that was Jessica? Because I didn't realize that was Jessica until like halfway through the story.
Even when
And
they said her name,
did not know what was going on. I was like, and like they were literally like showing her wedding, and I was like, oh, that's Jessica. What is going on?
It's funny because I was remembered. I can't remember if it was it the 2 reunions ago or the last reunion. I think it was 2 reunions ago when they did this with Barty. Barty's got the pip spot.
Oh, where he got yeah.
They were like, "Bartiz has a baby," and everyone's like, "What?
What?
Why would you?" Like, it's like when you show like a villain at the end of the movie or
Yeah.
something. But this was, I mean, good for her. She's happy. Her baby's cute. Baby came
Mhm.
out. Dax, baby Dax.
Mhm. Dude,
Oh, yeah.
did she meet her husband? She said the person who was managing her social media
Yeah, yeah. Which,
introduced her.
all right, dude. Good for you. But nobody comes on the show for fame, Dave.
Nope, nope,
Nobody comes for
nope.
fame. We see Marshall and Nancy boring. Okay, Fong and Taylor's dad.
Marshall had no updates. Marshall had nothing to talk about. They're like, "What are you doing?" "I moved." "What are you working on?" Just doing things there." "Are you dating anybody?" "Nope." What it was like a book report that he hadn't read the book, but it was about his life. I don't know. It was like, why are you even here?
Dude,
You have nothing interesting to tell us.
Marshall is at, like, every ESPN event.
Or
Like, ESPYs,
uh,
college football party, he is always getting that invite, so he looks great.
shout out
Shout
to
out
his
to
team.
Marshall.
Shout out to his
Yeah,
team.
shout out to his team. Okay, so they wrap, of course, with the only really, like, unobjectionable story of the season, which is going back to Taylor and Garrett. We do learn towards they show Taylor's parents who
Mhm.
are nice and the mom's kind of quiet. We do learn that they are living in Fredericksburg, so
Yeah.
they're moving to DC. They tried San Diego.
Mhm.
It was hard on him.
Mhm.
As I was watching that, all I could think about was you being like,
Mhm. The Garrett truther. We got a little bit of gas left in the tank, baby.
they're fine. They're very happy. We get a little a montage video of their travels around the world. That man, they do love fake British accents. Some
Yeah,
couples just love doing that. I
yeah.
don't know.
And we saw the evolution of his hair where there was like a
That
strong
was
serial
terrible.
killer phase going on
He
with
had
the
a stash face too.
yeah, yeah.
He's into fashion now. He has someone to dress up for. They're great. Um, we do get a little bit of Tyler and Ashley. They have a montage video. You alluded to this. They're asking them about like holiday traditions. I'm watching this thinking, really?
What is yeah,
Holiday
right.
traditions?
Right. Right. Like, come on now. Like y'all are doing too much. Like at some point, where are the damn kids? Like, are the kids hey, Tyler, is your kid gonna pop up to the birthday, like to the Christmas? Like what are we doing here?
So that's a wrap for season 7. We find out that season 8 is in February after the Super Bowl. Thank you, Love's Blind, for respecting my schedule. We, of course, will be back as well. They're in
Absolutely.
Minneapolis. Do you have
Mhm.
any strong feelings about this? We see 3 of the cast members, which was interesting. I don't think they've ever done that before. How do you feel about
Uh,
Minneapolis?
I want to tell you Minneapolis story. I'll tell you Minneapolis. I lived in Minneapolis for like a summer, for a little bit. But this isn't about. So I was in Atlanta. I was at a cheesecake factory, as one does, many years ago, and I was wearing a Minnesota Timberwolves jacket, right? And I walk in, and there is the lead singer RL from Next, famous for the Boner song. Everybody knows "You Dance Too Close," the Boner song. So he calls me over. He's like, "David, come on over, come holler at me." And so I was like, "Cool." I was like, walked over to him, and he was like, "I was like, I don't know how you know me, RL from Next, but hey, how's it going?" And he goes, "Hey, I'm from Minneapolis too." And I said, "Great." And he says, "You know, are you from there?" I was like, "No, I'm not from there, but I live there." Just like wearing a Timberwolves jersey because like fashion, right? And he was like, "Yeah, man, there's a lot of bad mixed chicks in Minneapolis." And I just kind of creeped over. That was it. That was in the conversation. I just walked away because I was there with I was there with a dark skinned woman, like right next to me, and he sat in front of both of us, and I'm just like, RL from Next, like what, like what are we doing? And so, I assume that there's probably maybe some bad dark skin. So Love is Blind. So keep that in mind when you're watching the show. RL from Next with the Boner song loves a certain type of woman.
Maybe they should give Steven a second chance.
If they got to be at least 12%. They're 12%. Maybe they're
We're gonna do the
Italian.
we're gonna see where Steven ends up in the final power rankings of the season.
Yeah.
Post reunion power rankings, very different from pre reunion. I'm gonna have to digest everything we talked about. But first, I did send out a request for comments, on the finale,
Uh-huh.
and we love our listener viewers. You guys
Everybody's so
are great.
kind.
The best comment section on the internet. So, we got some comments and slash questions that I've got in front of me. I'm gonna tee 'em up for you. I love this one from Josh Fielding. What are your thoughts on how meta some of the reunion conversations got? Alex talking about production,
Mhm.
hiding things from them. We should have addressed that, by the way. The
Yeah.
fight, Alex is like, I was trying to keep production out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Nick having conversations purposefully or not admitted from the show. It's interesting to me how often they talked about the editing. What did you think of that?
They had no choice. They really didn't have a choice this time because there was so much that was like missed, I think, this
Yeah.
time. And like so much that was like once like you couldn't talk about the Tyler and Ashley thing without talking about the edits, right? And you couldn't talk obviously they missed the Tim and Alex fight. So I think it was good. I actually think it's great instead of them going out there and pretending. Like that felt better to me than them doing the Brittany and Leo
Yeah.
thing and like, how did you find out when the producers told
I
like, come
know.
on now,
Yeah.
like stop lying. There's also aggressive shins. I want to mention the aggressive shinmanship of the suits in the reunion. There's a lot of shins going on. Just want to
Nick,
throw
I
that
feel
out
like Nick's was that thing went up all the way to his
there. Yeah.
kneecaps. I'm with you. I mean, I find some of it really interesting.
Mhm.
I find almost the meta of the meta, like,
Yeah.
when are they talking about it? For example, as we discussed, the fact that with Tyler and Ashley, they allowed them to
Mhm.
admit that they clearly did that to defend them,
Yeah.
and it kinda goes back to something you and I talk about, like, who's protected and who's not.
Yeah.
You get a sense so I think when they peeled back layers or let people, it was deliberate. Because the other thing with this reunion is it is edited, right?
Yeah.
They tried the live. This is not live. This was not a live reunion, and I think, that allowed them to have some control over what we saw even as they were peeling back the curtain
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. I think back to, the, um, Zeneb Cole was his name, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm. Oh,
the
yeah, with the
Jesus thing where they showed the
yeah,
footage.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like I bet there's footage of a lot of this stuff that we
Oh,
don't
well, I mean, I'm sure there's footage. There's got to be footage
it's
of
got
Tim and Alex, even if it's not the fight. Them trying to get into the bathroom and doing all this stuff and
there
like,
has to be
yeah,
footage of Tyler and Ashley talking about those kids.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's got to be, yeah.
Okay. Andrea, aka Andy, asks, I am dying to know how you guys would have handled hosting the reunion differently.
Well,
Well,
I'm glad you asked. Uh,
so
well,
we discussed we would have done with the Tyler and Ashley convo, the things
yeah,
we would have asked for sure. I would
yeah,
have brought up Hannah crossing boundaries. I would have
mhm.
brought up the duck thing more, like
Yeah,
why did
yeah.
you
Why was that?
misrepresent that conversation? Did you feel like that? Those are two things that I would have done.
Yeah, I would have done. I would have. I mean, I thought it was interesting that they had the condom conversation and they asked Ramses. Maybe they cut it from the reunion, but Ramses answered it, but Marissa did not.
Yeah,
Like we did,
great
she
point.
didn't. She didn't get to speak on that, which I felt like it was about like her more so than it was about him. That was really interesting. I just think like, um, I think sometimes Nick and Vanessa just kind of like cower to the like masses, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever the group is like doing something, they're just kind of go with it instead of just being like, "Whoa, like hold up, like
Wait. Yeah.
all of y'all may just be full of right now, and like we could just call it."
I agree. That's a great point. That's kind of like, yeah. Well, that actually brings us to the next question. Jessica Wellman asks, "Did all of the single women make a pact to come off terribly?" Okay, well, so this is interesting because, like I said, we haven't seen the discussion around this.
Right.
You and I were
Mm.
very turned off by this whole like girl
Yeah.
gang. Hopefully, not hopefully, but I feel like people weren't fooled necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in last season, I think. I mean, every season the coalitions are there, but last season where they ganged up on old jet ski lady, who like pretty terrible. You know, like they just
Yeah,
know who the clique is and who gets like you know who gets all the bad stuff.
this is a great question. Dallas, what couple would you have dropped to see more of Leo and Brittany in the pod?
Ooh, Tim and Alex, no
Ooh,
question. Tim,
yeah,
no question. I didn't need much of Tim and Alex. There was so much bad and
yeah,
like every scene in them like was except for Tim and Alex's dad. Like that was like a cool thing to see. But other than that, he was either doing the dog thing or she was berating him or she was calling him a little like there was just so much that I didn't need any of it. and would have saved me a lot of reunion
Yeah, because
like
you gotta
time.
keep everyone else really either
Yeah,
Tyler and Ashley would be the other one, but they obviously they stayed together. You have to have the successful couples. You keep Nick and Hannah,
yeah,
obviously. Marissa and Ramses, just so much drama. So yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, Stephen and Monica, that they're just great television.
yeah,
Okay. Telfo. Stephen and Ramses are the Jordan and LeBron of weaponizing therapy talk.
yeah. They
Who
definitely
who was the GOAT?
they gave us the Clay is the would be like the
Yeah.
he's the logo. He's Jerry West of talking that therapy stuff. But also, if we're talking, I think Hannah dropped a I'm going to therapy too. I think maybe possibly
Yeah, it's
she
not
did.
working. Or
She said
you
I'm working on myself and doing all this stuff, and I'm starting to love myself or whatever she said. I want to know. Nick and Vanessa should have asked, "Does your did you talk to your brother about about how scared he was of you?" Like I would have liked that follow up.
somebody pointed out something that we crucially left out, which is Ramses changed up his hair.
He did.
Notice that.
He
Yeah.
did change up his hair, and it also a lot changed from the alleged photos of his first marriage and first like wedding situation popped up online, and he looks like a totally different dude.
Yeah, that was really interesting, really
Yeah.
telling. Somebody pointed out that Garrett and Taylor look like the ringmasters of a circus. It's it's good. Why
They
did they
do.
need to bring back people from past seasons?
That is a good point. Garrett actually kind of looked like he was going to cut Taylor in half on stage and like show the boxes and keep it moving.
A lot of people are unhappy with Hannah getting a better reunion edit than she
Hmm.
deserved.
Yeah.
Ms. Cool says, "For all the footage of Hannah whining about Nick's bedroom taste, there was nothing brought up." Like, same as
Yeah.
us. Okay, so Sarah asks, "Do you think Ashley just doesn't care that he abandoned his children?" So, the most generous possible interpretation of the Tyler story, if we had to speculate, would be that there was some kind of legal drama, I'm
Hmm.
guessing, between
Hmm.
him and the baby mama, and that maybe he is alleging that she actually told him he couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Or that would be the only explanation I could give for him totally dropping out of their lives and him having some sort of justification for it. I
Yeah.
don't think I think that's true. I'm just saying that's the best possible scenario for Ashley.
Boo boo defu. Like that's just what it is. Like deadbeats find partners all the time. We see this all the time. Where like, oh, I can't see my kids. Where are my kids? I miss. They have this drummed up story, and of course the woman can't talk to the other woman to get her side of it. And Ashley was saying all the things. I'm ride or die with this man to the end. We're gonna be together, blah blah blah, thick and thin, all this stuff. Like she wants to be married to that man. She don't want to hear the truth. She does not want to know the truth about what's going on with that man.
Do you think they can write it out and become like let me put it this way, we can wrap it up for the power rankings. Do you think that they
Like a
can become
condom. You get it? You get it?
do you think that there's a world in which you and I are watching Minneapolis, we're laughing, it's the reunion, and one of their boring revisiting old couples moments, it's Tyler and Ashley holding a new baby?
Absolutely. I absolutely could see that. And I could see that man is going, I have no faith that that man is going to treat her well at any moment for the foreseeable future. But I do think that she is going to be still with him no matter what. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
They may be holding a baby. Don't know if it's gonna be his or hers. They're gonna be holding up a baby.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. This is. I think we're gonna see a lot of. Well, we'll see if Taylor and Garrett, if that's what they want out of this. But I don't know. All right. So final power rankings of the season.
Mhm.
I was just kind of thinking it through. This is tough.
Yeah.
I'm moving around some names here. Who do you think, if you had to guess, fell the most? I'm gonna just buy a little time as I settle on
Who
my
felt
final.
okay? Marissa had to fall in the most, unfortunately. I think Marissa fell the
Because she
most.
was like third or second in my
Yeah,
final power rankings.
she was up there. She was good. There was no problem. And then she just nudged Hannah. She like you could see her nudge. She was like, "It's go time." And then they just went full
Hated that.
like yeah, they just went crazy on Nick. I think Marissa fell. I think Ashley also sadly, who was high on the list, I think she fell by revealing she knew. And at some point, whatever the case is, it seems like this man has not seen his kids in a year, and it seems like she's still with him. And there's a lot to reconcile with that. I think though Marissa and Ashley probably fell the furthest, sadly.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Fine. Doing this on the fly.
All right, let's do it.
The final power rankings of Love Is Blind, season 7, post reunion.
Number 1, Jessica's baby. Galileo.
Don't call him outside his name. Okay, so 1 and 2 are very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor and Garrett, obviously.
Yeah.
Escaped unscathed. Perhaps the most shocking. I'm going Leo 3.
Oh, whoa. I think so. I guess. Yeah. I mean, but above Brittany though.
I found Brittany very difficult to look at, but she's next. You know why he's above Brittany? Because I think she's totally full of crap. I felt like that was just lies from her about how that all went down. But she probably gained some followers. Okay, so surprise at 5.
Leo was number 1 on Tim's list. I know that for sure.
Glazing. Okay, so surprise.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. She was ready. She was about as ready as Leo was when it came to what was going on. She was like, I knew you were gonna write. She was ready.
I think they might be the smartest.
Yeah.
Just, okay, so I'm putting her here. She honestly, I wish I could rank her a little bit lower because, as you correctly estimated, she fell greatly in my personal rankings. Marissa, I found unbelievably annoying in the reunion during the Nick and Hannah stuff.
And what's crazy is she was great in the first half of the reunion. It took the last 30 minutes before it just fell apart for Marissa. Maybe Ramses was right. Maybe the vibes were off. Maybe she was too much. If that's what you were getting out in the apartments, maybe Ramses was right to not want to be part of this.
I'm putting Ashley here.
Yeah.
This feels like the right spot because she obviously. You ever seen who did that tweet that's like, "Don't take an L for somebody already taking an L"? It's like an iconic. Anyways, I feel like that applies to Marissa and Ashley. They're taking L's on behalf of others, but brutal.
There's an Ayanla episode with Ashley just waiting to be done right now because it's happening. There's some bad stuff happening.
Not great. I'm actually putting Stephen here.
There we go. Producer Charlie was begging for Stephen to be there.
Because he was obviously lying. He's obviously disgusting. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hate him watching this.
Yeah.
I found him not unlikable the way I found some of these people. What do you think about that?
I'm with it. Stephen was he was trying to be a good sport. He gave his little monologue. He kind of owned up to it, I guess. He was pretty harmless. He's just a freak boy. So
yeah,
he's a 69 god. What can you say?
Okay, so we have Alex, Tim, Hannah, Tyler, Nick, Ramses are the final. Oof. This is like when you're trying to eat healthy at McDonald's. I'm going to put Alex and Tim here.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
It's the they were really,
They were just so, I just think,
I know.
I just personally just do not like them. I just personally do not like them.
They suck, but
it's like picking between pasta and a steak, except it's not pasta and a steak. It's like disgusting versions. I don't know.
So I'm putting Nick here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about putting. I think I want to put Nick above Tim and Alex.
Would you still? Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be more like also like I think he's gonna get a lot of I don't know, I'm actually very curious to see how the public responds to the because I thought it came across as very obvious ganging up.
But it was also ganging up. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be interesting because grenade is such a specific like mean word, especially for our
Yeah.
generation of people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something that
Yeah.
when you say it, everybody's like, oh, we know exactly. And you know he said it because Nick would definitely use a slang word
Yeah. Oh, he's
from
definitely said
15
it.
years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Nick has always. I was trying to figure out. Nick has always to me looked like somebody who would be on Jerry Springer. He just looks like a Jerry
yeah.
Springer contestant.
He no, he looks like the guy who and he finds out he's not the father, like, does the drugs
Right.
or something.
Like does the worm on the stage.
Yes! Oh my god, that is so accurate. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay,
Like Kim Kardashian said, Jerry, it's not over till it's over. On the Drake song. Like you said the Drake song, Jerry.
okay, so it's down to Ramses, Tyler, and Hannah. I'm gonna put Ramses,
Yeah.
pardon me, I keep saying his name
Yeah.
wrong, Ramses next. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just, he sucks, but, like, he's not I actually think you could like, if you had to give me a choice between hanging out with Alex, Tim, and Ramses, I'd probably choose Ramses.
I would choose at least we could talk about like
Yeah, I'm gonna
and
okay, you know what? I'm re-ranking this. I'm putting Nick above Alex and Tim. You're right.
he would give me some sort of like Hotepi lesson about like I don't know. He's-
Ugh, okay.
he would tell us why he's voting for RFK on Tuesday, and we'd be
Oh
just
my
like, okay.
god. Oh my god. All right. So I'm gonna do it. Can you bring up the Photoshop of me in the cloth? Because
You-
I hate this man lied about 3 secret children, and he's
Mina Kimes, I just want to say, this is what allyship looks like. I just want to say that right now. This is
oh my god, and that is
Dr.
it.
Umar Kimes is back.
Oh boy. Oh my god. Well, it's been all of the seasons of Love Is Blind. This was certainly one of them. Thank you,
Uh,
as always, to the show for giving us this content, for to Charlie and Brian for the incredible production work, editing, the greatest photoshoppers at ESPN, to my co-host David Dennis Jr., the brilliant David Dennis Jr., whose couch theory should be honestly cited in future academic publications on Love Is Blind, and
I
as
know
always.
you're gonna this might get bleeped out, but we'll just call it the theory. Just
Oh my god, can you bleep out all the times where I alluded to cosmetic enhancements in this episode? And thank you to our commenters, the best comment section on the internet. Cheers to you guys. I'm going to read all your comments about this reunion because I, more than anything, just want to feel deeply validated in my hatred. Right. Bye, guys.